Hello, I'm IBX Tweaker, and today I'm going to be asking and answering a question a lot of people are asking themselves about now, and that is, which version of Minecraft is better for on-the-go play? Is it Minecraft Pocket Edition, which is for Android and iOS, tablets and phones, which came out around 2 years ago, but until recently wasn't very viable as like a full-on gaming platform? Or is it Minecraft PS Vita, which is coming out this August, and is going to be the first handheld console-dedicated version of Minecraft that promises to have all of the console version features, as well as crossplay and some other interesting things that you can only really get from being a dedicated single device for a game. So basically, we'll be comparing these two platforms or versions against 7 separate categories, which range from graphics to gameplay to features, updates, etc. And you can base these about the most important features to you, or you can get an overall view from me at the end, going through all of it, of course. So we'll give a point to each of them based on each category. So the two versions we'll be comparing are the cheapest version of PS Vita you can buy, which is going to cost you about $200 in the US, or about $150 in the UK, or we're going to be using for the phone a Moto G, which again $200 in the US or about $120 in the UK, or if you want to be on the iPhone side of things, then we'll be using the iPhone 5, which is roughly equivalent to a Moto G. This is what we're getting our features based off. Basically, the Pocket Edition is slightly different depending on the power of the device you're running. So yeah, we wanted to get a pretty powerful but reasonably cheap device to compare it for, because if you have a low-end phone that can't run Minecraft Pocket Edition, it'll cost you roughly the same to upgrade to both of these things. So yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into our first category, which is going to be graphics, because that's one of the first things a lot of people notice when they first open a game, and for some people it's the most important part of the game. I think that's a weird view on the game, but you know, for some people it is. So we're going to be talking about the differences between how they look. So technically speaking, this is actually quite interesting. The phone/tablet versions will actually run better than the PS Vita version. So the PS Vita actually has a 540p screen. It's OLED, so it's a really nice looking screen, but it is just 540p, and also it's going to only have a render distance of around 4 to 5 chunks, as we can see from the gameplay from the trailer, which is actually a little bit disappointing, because although it is the full console version, it really suffers as far as visual goes for that, which, you know, for some people isn't the best thing. However, the Pocket Edition on the test phone we're using, again, the Moto G, you get a full 720p display that it uses all of, and you also get a render distance of around 8 to 10 chunks, if I had to guess it, so almost double the render distance, as well as a slightly increased technically looking display. However, the fact that the PS Vita version is using the console version, which is a slightly different graphics set, if I had to say, something just looks off about the Pocket Edition to me. Maybe it's just a weird bias, but personally, I'm thinking that the Pocket Edition, it actually looks a tiny bit worse in ways. Maybe it's using just outdated graphics or something. So even though the PS Vita is technically worse off here, I'm going to put them both on par for this one, because although the phone version is actually interesting better technically than the PS Vita version, the PS Vita version seems to use updated graphics, maybe a smoother lighting engine, and it just seems to be a better looking game when you look at it straight away. Of course, this is entirely opinion based, because technically speaking, the Pocket Edition gets a point too. So as far as technical goes, the Pocket Edition has a point. As far as actual, you know, most people looking at it would be concerned, I'm going to say the PS Vita gets a point. Next up, we're going to be talking about gameplay, and because gameplay is a very important part of any video game, as you can probably imagine, we're going to be splitting this into 3 separate parts. We're going to be splitting it into world size, features, and multiplayer. First of all, let's talk about world size though. So, world size is a very easy one to discuss. The Pocket Edition has infinite worlds if you have more than a single core processor, and both our test phones, the iPhone 5 and the Moto G, both have more than a single core, the iPhone 5 having a dual core and the Moto G having a quad core. So they both meet the minimum requirements to have infinite worlds, which means you can actually toggle the world size from infinite to small to large, etc., and you can kind of pick your world size. On the other hand, the PS Vita is going to be using the PS3's world size, which is 864 by 864, which gives you a fair amount of area, which is really great for that, but as far, you know, compared to infinite or 30 million blocks, it really doesn't compete. So point's just going to have to straight up go to the Pocket Edition here. It has infinite worlds versus the very limited worlds. So that's a point for Pocket Edition. So next up, we're going to be talking about the actual features of the game itself. So the Pocket Edition actually has quite a few nice features, including some exclusive and that haven't been released on the consoles yet. So exclusively, we have the Nether Reactor, which is a really odd one. There used to be unique types of flowers and whatnot, and they also have a few features from the PC which haven't been released on consoles yet, such as new biomes. However, they're missing a lot of really crucial features. For instance, Infinite Worlds was only just added, as well as like generated structures. Until this update, last update, they didn't even have villages and whatnot, and a lot of things are missing from the Pocket Edition, such as AI Fenders, so you can actually go towards the end. They're missing lots of parts of the Nether. They're missing lots of really, really big things that mean that the survival experience is actually a little bit worse on the Pocket Edition than on consoles. So the console edition, or PS Vita edition, actually wins this one because it's like the equivalent of the consoles. That's Xbox One, PS4, Xbox 360, and PS3. They all get updates at the same time. They all have the same features, and they're currently on 1.4 for PC, or they're coming up to 1.4 for PC, I should say, which is still 4 updates behind the PC, which is coming out 1.8 soon, or 5 updates right now, but it's still very, very, very much more updated and more stuff to do than there is in the Pocket Edition right now. So the point for actual features in the game is going to PS Vita for having the full console experience on the go. And yeah, let's next up talk about multiplayer. So multiplayer is an interesting little one that on the go really isn't something you're going to be able to do because you need to have a solid connection to it. And unfortunately right now on both the Pocket Edition and on the Vita Edition, it looks like it's only going to be Wi-Fi based connectivity. So you're going to need to be attached to a Wi-Fi hotspot to actually play these games. And even then, right now on the Pocket Edition, there's no official multiplayer capacity unless you've been invited to the Realms beta. You have to use a third-party app if you want to play it, and even then you have to do some weird things to your phone. And yeah, to actually play Minecraft Pocket Edition online on the Pocket Edition, pretty much it's a fantasy right now. Again, you need Realms to do it, or you need to use some weird third-party apps. It's not built into the game, it's not nice like that. Whereas on the PS Vita, it's going to be modeled on the PS3 version, so you can get 8 players on the go using Wi-Fi, and I'm not sure how the server system will work, if they have to be on the same Wi-Fi, if there's like a proper, server-based system where you can invite people with the same PS3 system, but no matter how they do it, for having multiplayer included in the game, and it's going to be the same drop-in, drop-out as on the other consoles, that's got to give the PS Vita the point here as far as multiplayer is concerned, right now anyway. This could change at some point in the next few months as Minecraft Realms comes out more, but right now, PS Vita definitely has the point in this category. So next we're going to be talking about the actual controls of the game, which are a very important part of playing it. And on the Pocket Edition right now, you can only control the game through touchscreen. If you have the PlayStation phone, or I forget what it's called, the XP Play or something, you can actually use a controller, but otherwise you can't actually use a controller with Minecraft because they have no control support in the game, which is kind of unfortunate. You can program your own one, but that's not what most people can do. So to control the Pocket Edition, you need to use touch. It's got a D-pad on the left, which you can also jump with, and then you just use the right to interact with stuff and to hit things. Honestly, that's not a great system. Touch controls aren't the best thing in the world. Even no matter how much you've used them, you'll appreciate that they're not very precise. They lack a pretty serious thing, and the PS Vita kind of shines as far as control goes because it has a full, essentially console controller built around the screen, because that's obviously how the PS Vita works, and this gives you full control of the game, essentially exactly like playing it on your PS3 or PS4. If you've played either of those consoles, of course it's pretty similar to Xbox and Xbox One as well, but yeah, you get the full kind of console controls on the go, which is a really nice thing, so you don't have to learn a third playstyle if you also play the PC. It just kind of transfers over with you, which is a really, really nice little extra thing there, and yeah, that's definitely that. So the point as far as controls goes is going to have to go to Minecraft PS Vita by a long shot. Maybe when controller support comes out for the Android and iOS versions of Minecraft Pocket Edition, then it'll get an extra little bit of leeway, but even then you have to pay for the controller, whereas with the PS Vita, it's just kind of right there around the screen, like I said. So next up, we're going to be talking about the cost. This is a very simple one to discuss, and the cost for Minecraft on the the iOS and Android stores, it's only going to set you back around $7 if you're in the US, or £5 in the UK, whereas the PS Vita version, if you haven't already bought the PS3 version, which actually gives you the PS Vita version for free, which is a really nice touch, is actually going to set you back $20, which is 3 times as much. That's around £15 in the UK, and you can convert if you're elsewhere in the world as usual. So yeah, as far as cost goes, Minecraft Pocket Edition has a pretty big plus for being so much cheaper. However, if you have the PS3 version, you've got to consider that it's essentially free, so a little bit different there. But as far as cost goes, really nice that the Pocket Edition is so much cheaper. A definite point right there. Finally, we're going to have to talk about updates. So this is, to some people, a small thing because they don't really care about the game updating, they want to play it how it is, and updates are just a nice thing. For other people, updates are a big part of what makes the game so fun. I'm one of those people where every time an update comes out, there's like a full week of just playing the game, being really excited with it, because there's all these new features to explore. That's the type of person I am, and as far as Pocket Edition goes, the updates are a little less than frequent right now, although they're pretty big updates, especially with 0.9.0, and they're focusing more, and it's coming from Mojang. On the other hand, we have the console edition, which used to be updated every 4 months, kind of like clockwork. Now we're kind of getting to a point where it's every 8 to 9 months. So right now, the way it looks is, although Pocket Edition used to be worse, worse, it's now getting better, and the console edition used to be better and is now getting worse. So we could be seeing in a few years the Pocket Edition overtaking the PS Vita version and becoming a much better version to play on the go because it's got all these extra features, or we could see it, you know, just going back to how it used to be. It's hard to say right now, so we're going to give both of them a point because I think that it could go either way, and it really depends on what you want. Do you want the bigger updates, which are a little sporadic and sometimes go a little bit longer, if that's the Pocket Edition, or do you want the kind of clockwork every kind of 4 to 8 months, which isn't very clockwork when you think about it, but they're always giving you one version ahead on the PC, and you kind of know what you're expecting before it happens. Like the next update is going to be 1.4, it's going to bring with it the Wither, etc. Do you want that time to think, or do you want the random updates which come from everywhere, which is kind of exciting in some ways, but, you know, kind of disappointing in some others when a really big feature that should have been in the game a long time ago isn't. It depends on how you look at the game. Overall, I'm going to have to say, if you've recently bought a high-end flagship smartphone like the Galaxy S5, the HTC One M8, or, you know, the G3, the iPhone 5S, something like that in the last few months, I definitely recommend sticking with it and just getting the most out of that by playing the game too, because there's some really powerful hardware in those phones, which is actually kind of impressive. That even if right now you're not taking full advantage of it, you'll get like really good graphical settings, you can take full advantage of Infinite Worlds, have no lag, get a really seamless console kind of experience on your phone. I definitely recommend getting the most out of it, because you've already paid a lot for the phone, might as well, you know, get the cheap game and actually take advantage of it. However, if you have a fairly old phone that can barely run Pocket Edition, or, you know, won't run it fully, like won't have Infinite Worlds, maybe instead of spending the money, you'd spend on a better phone, because your phone probably functions as a phone, right? Then you could get like a PS Vita instead, because it gives you the full controls. They're really, really cheap now, because Sony keep trying to market them to make more people buy them, because it's kind of a flop as a console, so you can do that. And if you have a PS3, there's cross-play on top of all that, which even by itself, the PS3 thing might justify it alone. It depends on your whole preference if you want to do that sort of stuff. But yeah, having the controls on the go is what makes it definitely more worth it for me. And if you're playing Minecraft a lot, then being able to actually control it rather than getting kind of frustrated at the device might be something that is worth your time. And if you just use a phone, you have to just wait that hopefully they'll they add control support. So yeah, that's my opinions on Minecraft PS Vita versus Pocket Edition. They both have their own, flaws, and they both have their own strengths. I'd say PS Vita is slightly higher up, but then again, you have to buy a dedicated device, so maybe it evens out. If you enjoyed the video, please do like it and let me know. It helps me out a lot. Other than that, thanks for watching, and here is an outro.